Now, before we move on, I would like to briefly talk about Expiscore, which is the name of this chapter. Now, I forgot to mention this in the last video, and to be honest, if it wasn't for Samovar, then it may have slipped me by completely. Now, Samovar mentioned that Expiscore is potentially something to do with removing fish, but after a little bit more digging, and I could be wrong here, as I have said before, my Latin is pretty much non-existent, but what I have found out is what I believe is a translation, and Expiscore is what I believe to be to fish for information, or to fish out information. If anyone would like to correct me, then I would be happy to hear it. Anyway, let's move on.
Hello, dear.
Good day. He's a little more handsome than your average Bewley resident.
Alright, keep your pants on.
I believe we've met.
Miss Thomasina Bateman, the famous antiquarian.
My reputation precedes me.
I can assure you it does.
And you are?
James.
Are you a painter?
You see this beck before you. Look at the water. See how it tumbles and falls. I seek one spot on which my eyes can rest. Be it a stone or a small corner of the current, I meet it with my gaze, and out of the tumbling and falling, a new land rises. I see a new world.
You certainly have the eloquence of an artist. What are you painting?
A new world.
Quite the ambition.
Indeed, my ambition knows no bounds.
Can I see it?
Not yet. It's not finished. Such a world is not complete without you in it.
You flatter me, James.
Nonsense. Say you'll let me paint you.
As long as I can keep my clothes on, yes.
Why not?
Magnificent. You shall be the shining star of my new world.
I don't really have the time now, though. Perhaps later?
Don't fret, my dear. When the time comes, I shall call on thee.
Capital. What do you make of this stone?
It looks antique. You might want to keep a hold of it.
Do you know of Hob's Barrow?
I'd like to know more about you, Thomasina. At what time do you like to rise in the morning? How do you like your tea? What makes you happy?
Well, I like to rise early and watch the sunrise.
With your husband, I'm sure.
No, I'm currently unentangled.
Such a view should be shared with at least a lover.
Do you deem yourself fit for this position?
Indubitably. But do go on. How do you like your tea?
Hot, with just a splash of milk.
No sugar, of course.
No sugar.
It rots the teeth. Your smile is as dazzling as the Himalayan snow.
Oh, James.
And finally, what makes you happy?
Spending time with my father.
I should like to meet him.
Perhaps you will. And you, James? I propose the same queries to you.
All in good time. My truths will surround you in good time.
Do you know Leonard Shoulder?
A man of Bewley?
Yes.
I care not for the men of Bewley, only for the visitors.
Alright, that's quite interesting information. I wonder why.
What do you know of Lord Panswick?
A fine gentleman. Now that is someone who commands respect.
Do you know him personally?
No, I don't think anyone can really claim that. But what a tiring subject. Shall we discuss something a little more exciting?
Goodbye.
See you soon, my dear.
Now that was a good response. I'll be looking further into some Gnostic studies, and especially the AR, or the R, stone that we found. Now, from what I've found, R is Gnostic studies, it is a rune, but it's also the sun rune. And R in Proto-Iranian, Proto-Indo-Iranian, and Proto-Indo-European translates as sun. And I believe it's also the same in Arabic, but again, my Arabic is non-existent. But the problem is, R is generally depicted as a rune, and this is it's Bewley in Derbyshire, and it's not a rune, so I could be talking out of my arse, but it could potentially be, the R stone could potentially be a depiction of the sun, which may fit in with our journal writings. But anyway, let's move on.
Mr. Crozier's new pride and joy, it would seem. I feel I was slightly shortchanged in this trade, but I shall leave the fossil to its new owner. Good day.
Hey up.
Look at this, Mr. Crozier. It's my father's journal.
Oh, aye? Why are you showing me?
Did you slip it under my door last night?
Ha! Have you gone daft? Why would I have your father's journal?
Never mind. Did the sketches inside mean anything to you?
Looks like a load of rubbish to me.
I found out my father visited Bewley 25 years ago. William Bateman, perhaps you remember him?
I would have been just a lad. What were you here for?
That's what I intend to find out. What do you make of this stone?
Don't look like out to me.
Are you familiar with any local folklore?
Oh, aye. The old cobbler used to tell me some right stories. Swore he sold a pair of boots to a goblin when he were a young man.
A goblin, you say? I take it this cobbler was a regular at the Plough and Furrow?
Never drank a day in his life. Sober as a judge. Have you been to the Devil's Toe?
Yes, I'm familiar with the cairn.
Some say they've seen the goblin's daughter there, playing her fiddle. Can't say I've seen her myself, mind.
Do you know any other stories about this goblin?
I don't have the time to be standing here gossiping about old wives' tales.
Apologies. I'm having some trouble extricating a knife from a table in the Plough and Furrow. Might I borrow a pair of pliers?
A knife, you say? I can get that out for you.
That's very kind of you, Mr. Crozier.
Think nothing of it. Wait here. That were a struggle. Here you are.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
Aye. Speak to you later.
I should be careful. The blade is sharp.
I'd like to know what Mr. Crozier is making, as he is tapping that very delicately. Alright, let's go and find our new friend.
Hello?
Well, I wasn't talking about that friend, but let's follow them.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Did you see a young girl with blonde hair pass by here?
No, lass. Here you are you Thomasina Bateman?
That smile looked really creepy.
That's my name.
How marvellous! It's me, Leonard Shoulder.
Heavens! I'd given up on finding you.
Please take a seat, Miss Bateman. We have much to discuss.
You've proven to be quite the enigma, Mr. Shoulder.
I'm mortified. I offer you 1,000 apologies. You see, I've been bound to me bed these past few days with a terrible fever.
How dreadful. I take it you're feeling better now?
Aye, I were on me way to find you when I stopped here to catch me breath. I've not much go in me these days.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I were worried you'd have given up on me and left town.
I had no idea what had become of you, Mr. Shoulder. I spent a good amount of time pounding on your front door.
I'm embarrassed, I really am. I've been doing my best to sleep through the fever. I am so very sorry. Please accept my apology, Miss Bateman.
Fine, Mr. Shoulder. I've come all this way. Let us speak of the business at hand.
Marvelous.
I've just learned that my father was part of a previous excavation of Hobb's Barrow some 25 years ago. Why didn't you mention this in your letter?
What? Where did you hear that?
I have my means.
I swear, Miss Bateman, I had no idea.
I take it you will also deny delivering me my father's journal?
I'm confused. What journal?
My father's journal was slipped under my door at the Plough and Furrow. It wasn't you who did this.
I've been bound to me bed, lass. What an extraordinary coincidence. You are following in your father's footsteps.
It would seem so, Mr. Shoulder.
This definitely looks like the person who was there on the first night. And I've just remembered that I'm pretty sure the toilets to... well, the doors to the toilets in the pub, should I say, aren't locked. So it's very possible that someone got into the pub from that way. So really, it could have been anyone. But I think Mr. Shoulder may be telling some porky pies about his health.
Why did you invite me to excavate Hobb's Barrow?
I've always been curious about the colourful folklore surrounding the place. My father told me all sorts of stories about it when I were a wee fellow. Stories that some folk around here take a little too seriously, especially after those lads entered the Barrow a while back.
How did you know about me?
I saw your interview in the Bakewell Times. A young lady travelling about the land, digging up barrows. Perfect for the job.
But why do you wish to excavate the Barrow?
I want to see what those lads found in there. My curiosity has grown over the years. Now it is time for the mystery to be solved.
I must say I am rather eager to find out what's in there myself. I've managed to find Hobb's Barrow, but Mr. Bryden is yet to give me permission to excavate.
Is that so? Keep trying. You'll relent eventually.
Perhaps you could have a word with him.
Oh no. A lovely young lass such as yourself has a better chance of changing his mind than a shaky old goat like me.
You told me in your letter there would be no issue gaining access to the Barrow.
I didn't foresee any when I wrote to you. I'm sorry this has been more complicated than anticipated. Don't give up yet, Miss Bateman. Keep trying with Mr. Bryden.
Did you know my father?
I don't believe so. What's his name?
William Bateman. He was in Bewley for at least a few days, from my understanding.
I'm sorry, lass. The name doesn't ring a bell.
Are you sure you had no idea of my father's involvement in the previous excavation?
I'm quite sure. A most fascinating coincidence, but nothing more than that.
I'm starting to wonder if it's more than mere coincidence, Mr. Shoulder.
Miss Bateman, I did not take you for a credulous individual.
I'm none of the sort. What can you tell me about the previous excavation of Hobb's Barrow?
Oh, it were 25 years ago, or thereabout. Back then, Bewley were undergoing a period of great strife. Samuel Bryden hadn't harvested a single crop for 2 seasons. Even Hernwood was sick. Berries went to rot almost as quickly as they grew. Folks started to believe the ground were blighted. Disease spread through the livestock too. People were going hungry, a panic set in.
That sounds terrible.
Aye, but I managed to keep myself fed. These things happen in nature, but the blame for it all fell on Hobb's Barrow. It were long said that a goblin made his home there. A rumour took root that the goblin were not best pleased with the villagers. In revenge for some unperceived slight, the goblin placed a curse on the soil itself. The villagers believed that ridding the Barrow of its lodger would put an end to it all.
Hogwash. My father would have paid no heed to such tales.
Whether it were his intent to join the excavation when coming here, I do not know. But whatever it were that Samuel Bryden and those lads did inside that barrow, people say it did the trick. The crops started to grow back, and health returned to the livestock. Bewley were no longer in the grip of dark forces. You must understand, folk here are a superstitious lot. They don't want you disturbing whatever it were those lads did. As far as the villagers are concerned, the problem were fixed. The thought of another excavation must be conjuring panic that you'll undo whatever it were they did.
This does explain a lot.
And it's also why I'd venture nobody around here wants you to touch the place.
Except for you.
I want to know what's there.
Surely you don't believe these tales of goblins and curses to be true?
Not at all. However, I suspect those lads did find something in the barrow. But did it have any connection to failing crops and dying livestock? No. I can assure you there's nothing to fear. Coincidence reigns supreme.
So what do you think they found?
That is for us to discover, Miss Bateman.
Who was the third man who joined my father and Mr. Bryden on the excavation?
I'm afraid I don't know. Although I'd heard about the excavation and I were intrigued by it, I mostly stayed at home during that time. The atmosphere in the village was rather too tense for me liking. And besides, the excavation were undertaken with an air of mystery about it.
Tell me more of this folklore you mention.
It is said that Hob's Barrow is home to a goblin. Everyone in Bewley has some version or another of this story. But the version my father told me as a child described the Barrow as a thin place. The goblin were deemed to be the guardian of this so-called thin place.
Tell me more about this goblin.
Some said he were a mischievous little mite, snatching newborn lambs and smashing windows with pebbles. Others said he were friendly, there to lend a helping hand in times of strife. The latter of which makes it all the more surprising as to why the previous excavation took place. My father's stories put the goblin in the mischievous category. Saxnot, he called the creature. I recall one such anecdote, that Saxnot entered Bewley and ordered a pair of boots to be made by the cobbler. However, when collecting them, he insisted on paying for them with a bag of sow's teeth. The cobbler was so scared of angering the goblin that he accepted.
A colourful tale indeed, Mr. Shoulder. Has any explanation been offered for why this Saxnot cursed the soil?
Your guess is as good as mine, lass.
What is a thin place?
A place where one can walk between worlds, where the flesh meets the spirit world. Just superstition, of course, as you well know.
I had a peculiar dream last night. I met a creature at Hob's Barrow. I suppose you might say it was a goblin. It told me it had saved my father from trouble inside Hob's Barrow. I'll admit the coincidence of this is somewhat astounding.
A remarkable coincidence, but nothing more than that.
But there is still one thing that puzzles me. The goblin told me proof of its claims would await me in the morning. Surely enough, I awoke to find that my father's journal had appeared in my room.
Very queer indeed.
Mr. Shoulder, you invited me here, to a town I'd never heard of, only for me to discover that my own father was here 25 years before. And not only that, but that he was also embroiled in some sort of superstitious hysteria which goes against everything he ever taught me. Something is wrong here. This must be more than mere coincidence.
It's strange, I'll give you that. But please remember who you are, Miss Bateman.
It's more than strange. I really do not trust this guy.
This is my father's journal.
Incredible. Can I look inside?
You may.
Look at these drawings. Wonder what it all means.
You and I both. It all feels very out of character for my father.
I'm sure you'll find the answers beneath the soil, Miss Bateman.
What do you make of this strange stone?
A carving of a cockerel?
Yes, it was strapped to my father's journal. Do you think it could have something to do with the previous excavation?
Possibly, though I'm not aware of the motif having any meaning around these parts.
Is this your glove?
I've been looking all over for that. Where did you find it?
In the alley behind the plough and furrow on the night of my arrival. Were you there?
As I say, I've been bedbound for several days, Miss Bateman.
How odd.
Can I please have it back?
Here.
Thank you. We're peas of the same pod, Miss Bateman. I knew you wouldn't be frightened by a few old stories. It will be interesting to see what those lads found in there.
Certainly.
Thank you so very much for responding to my letter and for coming here. We have some great discoveries to make, you and I.
I sincerely hope so.
And a chance to follow in your father's footsteps. Right, time for me to shift these old bones. I'm to take me a spot of the plough and furrow. I'll be there all night should you need me assistance.
Thank you, Mr. Shoulder.
I'm sorry again for giving you the runaround. I promise I am not beyond redemption. I won't let you down again. See you soon.
I was starting to wonder if Mr. Shoulder even existed. The day was starting to test me. The word coincidence felt insufficient to explain what was happening. It was after that first conversation with Leonard Shoulder that I started entertaining thoughts of a truly irrational nature. What if my dream wasn't just a dream? What if it was all more than simple coincidence? What if that thing really could help my father? Good day, little one. Hello? What's this? A fiddle bow? There's no string. My name is Thomasina. What's yours? Don't be shy. I don't mean you any harm. What are you doing out here all alone on the moors? Do you live here? Would you like me to fix your bow so you can play your fiddle again? Yes? Hey! Most peculiar. Perhaps I can mend the bow for her. If memories of my childhood violin lessons serve me right, bowstring is made from animal hair coated in a waxy resin. The strings don't vibrate without it.
I haven't seen any animals around here, unless we're talking about the goats. Or the chickens. Well, we had a couple of distractions. Let's go and see Mr. Bryden now.
Hello, Wally.
Go away! You gave the doll back to my sister.
It wasn't very nice of you to bury her favourite toy, Wally.
I gave it to the fair folk, and you stole it back from them.
You don't really believe in fairies, do you? You're old enough to know better.
They're real, and thanks to you, I'm cursed.
There's no such thing as curses either, Wally.
Go away!
Ooh, who do we choose now?
Look at it writhing away.
I'm going to take you. Welcome to the party.
I shall name you Kenneth II. I've already taken one.
Oh, we can have an army.
Mummy?
Get away from the fire, Thomasina.
What are you burning?
Nothing. Just waste. Now go inside.
Mummy looks angry. Mummy?
Get away from the fire, Thomasina.
Abrax. Mummy, what is this?
Waste. Burn it.
Abrax. Now that's going to be a subject for another time.
Good day, Mr. Bryden.
Miss,
I...
I'll stop you there. I know what you're going to ask. No, I haven't changed my mind. There'll be no digging here, lass.
Mr. Bryden, allow me to explain. There has been an astonishing development this morning.
Yes?
My father was with your brother during the excavation.
Oh,
Yes. Can you believe it? I had no idea he had been here.
the answer's still no, lass. I saw what happened to poor Samuel. I won't risk the same happening to anyone else.
But
That's enough now. You can feast your eyes on that hovel to your heart's content, but there'll be no digging. No questions. I'm not interested.
but
Off with you.
I don't think anyone really wants to see my worm.
Why not?
Look, Mr. Bryden, my father's journal. It confirms he was with your brother during the excavation of Hob's Barrow.
Ha! Take that away from me. I'll be having none of that.
What do you make of this stone, Mr. Bryden? It was strapped to my father's journal.
Wait a minute. Let me see that. By God. Wait here a moment. I need to get something from inside.